So in this video, I'm building a 48 volt do-it-all lithium phosphate battery. So the reason I call it do-it-all is because I want it to be able to do multiple things. So for instance, I want to have it plugged into my house, power my house, and I also want to be able to put it in the back of my car, take it for camping trips, and also do other cool projects like electric boats and stuff like that. So being that this is a 48 volt battery, I need 16 cells. So each of these cells are a 3.2 volt lithium phosphate cell. So when the battery is fully charged, it'll actually be about 56 volts. But they call it a 48 volt, that's kind of like a nominal voltage. So the bus bars that came with them, these little 1.5 by 15 millimeter bus bars, and that's really not really big enough for what this sort of current I want to pull. So I'm probably just going to like double these up. So put two on top of each other and screw them on. I've got some more ordered as well. So the other ones I'm going to probably even triple up just to make them, handle the 200 amps or more current I need to pull through it. Because the cross-sectional area on these is only like 22 millimeters squared, and I want to get it to closer to 50, so two of these will probably, be around about 45 millimeters squared, which should be enough hopefully, but I'll test that out with the BMS. Obviously when I'm running it, I'll be able to see how hot they're getting. So these aren't the exact cells I actually wanted, because when I actually ordered them, the ones I actually ordered were these flat top ones, not the ones with the studs. The other ones were the ones with nuts. That's what I wanted. So a bit smaller, so it would actually fit them nicely into the box easier. It wasn't really the seller's fault because they had been messaging me and I hadn't seen the messages and I couldn't check my AliExpress. And then I guess to them they sort of said, well, we'll send it anyway, because he probably, if he doesn't check his messages, he might be waiting months and they'll go, where's my batteries, and might need them. So when you first get all these cells, they do recommend you put them all together, connect them all parallel, so basically you connect all the positives and all the negatives together, and then you run 3.6 volts through it, that's whatever current your power supply can do, until they all balance up. I'm probably not going to bother doing that. I'm just going to connect it straight up, connect them all straight up, and let my active balancer do the job. So hopefully not too out of balance, because it could take a while. So these are EVERYTHiNG. They reckon they're A-grade batteries apparently. I did look up the barcode, and they were only produced like a few months ago, manufactured, so they are pretty new, which is good. So 105 amp hours, 3.2 volt lithium phosphate, as you can see there. Number of cycles is 8,000 times. They don't really say like at what depth of discharge that is, but being lithium phosphate, it's usually 2,000 if you do 100% depth of discharge. So this is probably only like a, I don't know, 80% or less depth of discharge to 8,000 times. They do seem to be in fairly good condition, the cells, except for like some of these terminals at the top here have a bit of damage, like you see that. This one here, you see those little like welts or something there. So I don't know whether they really are, A-grade cells or not, but time will tell how well they do. When I'm going to be running them pretty hard. Some of my projects I've got planned for this. So to contain all these batteries, I'm using this, which is a box from a 12 volt 200 amp hour lithium phosphate battery. It used to be actually a high-tech world battery. You can see the size of this box, it's fairly sizable. So this was only 200 amp hours, so I'm going to actually have like double the capacity by the time I convert it to the 48 volt battery with these cells here. So as you can see on the label, it was a 12 volt 200 amp hour 2400 watt hour battery. So 48 volt times 105 amp hours is around about close to 5,000 watt hours. So we'll have basically double the capacity of this battery in the same size box. So with every lithium phosphate battery, you really need a BMS, which is a battery management system. So for this one, I'm using this JK BMS, and this is actually a 300 amp BMS, so it can run at 300 amps continuously, and has like a peak of on the 600 amps, I think. So it can run 300 amps continuously, and also has a peak of 600 amps. So it's a very capable unit. This thing can pump out a lot of power. So if you're running 48 volts at 300 amps, you're talking close to 15 kilowatts, which is a lot of power. So the BMS also has a 2 amp active balancer, so that's what I'm going to use to balance the cells rather than balance them before I charge it. So how the BMS works is you have balance leads, and these go to every single one of the cells. So the BMS knows individually what the voltage is of every single cell, and it can use that to keep your battery safe. So for instance, if one of the cells was to go above a 3.65 volts, I can set it to shut the battery down. And also if it goes too low, if any of the cells go below 2.5 volts, this thing will also shut it down, so it just keeps it all safe. Also, you can have temperature protection too. So the battery cells get too hot, it will shut it down. So that's just a way to make sure you don't get any thermal runaway or anything like that. You don't have any issues with your battery catching on fire or something. So definitely very imperative to have one of these. You've got to have one. Okay, so now I've got the configuration worked out. So basically, we'll have the main negative terminal here and the main positive terminal here down this end. And that works out well because this lid goes on top. Main positive, main negative down that side. BMS will probably sit in here. So what you really don't want to happen is you don't want this to rub together and like rub through, because that can create shorts and end up causing like a fire or some sort of damage. So what I'm going to do is in between each of these cells, you have a little bit of these fiberglass sheets. This is going to be a series configuration, so you connect so the positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative all the way down. Get to here and it goes positive, negative, and then it goes positive to negative, positive, negative, positive to negative, positive, negative, and that's my main positive. So I then moved all the cells out of the box, keeping them in the same configuration, getting them ready to wrap some high heat Kapton tape around them to keep them all together so they don't move around too much. Then before I put them back in the box, I went along and drilled all these holes, so about 6 holes around the sides of it. So this is so later on I can put my zip ties through them. Then I could carefully lift them back in, all in one piece. So now that all the cells are being taped together and put back in the box, I could come along and attach all the bus bars. So obviously being a series configuration, I had to attach the positive to the negative all the way down. I used a few different types of bus bars down the end here. So for these flexible bus bars, the holes weren't quite in the right spot, so I had to use a multi-tool and cut them out so they fit along the cells that are running lengthways. There's a different size spacing between them. So all these cables here I'm stripping and crimping. So these are for the BMS. So each one of these runs to the positive side of all the battery cells. So the BMS knows exactly what voltage each individual cell is. It can also use those same leads to balance them. So being that it's an active balancer, I think it pretty much like pulls current out of one battery cell and puts it into another one. And it can only do, I think, 2 at a time. So on the BMS here, we've got the B minus and the P minus. So B minus is the battery side, and the other side is the P minus side. So that goes out to the negative terminal on the top of the battery. And on the back here, so this is where the balance cables are plugged in. So they'll come out the back there, and I'll have this little space over here to hide the cables in. So as you can see, this JK BMS has 3 terminal connection points on it. So considering I'm going to be running, up to potentially 300 amps, what I'm using is 3 times 5 AWG cables. So the 5 AWG cables are actually the 200 degrees Celsius silicon coating around them too. So that means they can handle really high temperatures. It means you can handle extra current. So with all 3 of those together, it should easily be able to handle 200 to 300 amps. So I don't have a proper insulation cutter for these thicker cables. But what I just use is a Stanley knife, and I just sit it on the table and roll it around the circumference, and that cuts the insulation, and then I can just run a cut through it like that and then peel it off. So what I found is a good way to get them to fit into the copper lugs is a twisted cable around it. A rubber band is actually better, but I didn't have one. That way it keeps it all together and you can just slide it on much easier. So when using multiple conductors in parallel, you need to make sure they're exactly the same length. Because otherwise, if you're sharing current between them, if they're not the same length, then one of them will end up taking more of the current. So I'd originally planned to put 3 of these into one of these 50mm connectors, but there's no chance, it just wasn't going to go in. So I ended up doing 2, and you see the crimp didn't come out very nice either. Looks pretty crappy, really. I think one of those hydraulic crimpers would be much better, because they can get a nice even clamp around it. Because this one, these ones here, this side here is obviously small on the other side, which means it doesn't apply even pressure on it. So came up with a terrible crimp. Alright, so that's the battery negative side. So I've just done the 150mm and another 16mm connector. So that way that will just sit on top like that, on top of the terminal. And then on the other side, same again, I've got three 5A WGs. They run all the way down, and one 50mm connector, one 16mm connector. Basically I'll just have that one sitting on top of the other one. So I've got some nice black heat shrink on here to hide those terrible crimps. Yeah, so next time I'll definitely be getting one of those hydraulic crimpers, because that other one I really don't like. Just using some zip ties here to tidy up all the balance leads, so they're not just hanging everywhere looking like a complete mess. Then can come along and trim off the ends of the zip ties. So to tighten up all these nuts, I'm just using the torque setting on the drill. It's not ideal. I'd be better off using an actual torque wrench so I can get the specified correct tightness, but this will do for now. Now for the positive side, I'm just using one big thick 50mm squared cable. Much more simple than using three. I prefer to use one, but because of the BMS, the way it's set up, I had to use three on the other side. This is the same. This is a 200 degrees Celsius silicone coating around the cable as well. So that crimp wasn't as bad as some of the other ones. Still not great though, because you see how one side it's like pinched it, and the other side it's not even pressure. So not happy with that really, but it'll do the job for now. Being that this cable's so thick, it could be kind of difficult to actually get this to fit in here. Obviously that's got to go on the positive terminal there, and I've got to somehow bend that around in here, connect it to that. I've got to fit in. This is pretty tight, as you can see. So for a while there I thought I wasn't going to be able to make it all fit in there. It looks like it will fit just, so I'm pretty happy with that. Probably still going to need to put some like foam or something around that BMS so it doesn't move around and get damaged. So I've also got this little switch here, so that's how you turn the BMS on and off. So I'm going to have to drill a hole in the top of the box here and then mount that in there so I can switch it on and off. The only thing I have left to sort out is these temperature sensors. So these little cables there, these little black ones here. I'll probably put one of those on one of the bus bars and also one on the cells, just so I can monitor how hot these bus bars are getting. Okay, so now time to turn it on, and let's fingers crossed it works. Well, we got a light, so that's a good start. 10 volts, that's weird. Why don't you have 10 volts? I don't know. I'll check the beamer, see what's going on. Connect to it. Yeah, connected. That's good. That's a good sign. You can see 52.19 volts there. You can see all 16 cell voltages. They all look to be pretty good. All around 3.26 volts. Okay, now I think we just got to go into the settings here. So, password, I think it's 123456. Yep, okay. Cell count 24, so I've got to turn that down to 16. 16, so we've got 16 cells. The battery capacity, we'll put that to 105 amp hours. Okay. That seemed to work now, so I think that should be pretty good, those settings. Happy with that. So we'll go back across to the status. Charge and discharge is on now. All the voltages look good. So let's check that voltage again on the battery terminal, see if it says 52 volts now. Negative, positive. We got, oh, it just went flat. So look, 52 volts. There you go, we're all good. It's all working nicely. So as I mentioned earlier, I actually wanted different cells than these ones. These aren't the ones I actually wanted, but I didn't see the messages and they said they didn't have those ones. So I've got these ones now, but they stick a little bit higher up, so unfortunately the lid doesn't quite sit down. So what I have to do is try and get down as best I can. I should be able to get it close. And then I've got those holes I drilled in the side here for the zip ties. I've got these big zip ties. I'm just going to drill a hole through the top of the lid as well, and then put that through in 6 locations. Then tighten it down. That'll hold the lid on, and then maybe to seal it up a bit, I'll just run some black tape around the whole top of it. It's not perfect. It's not ideal. That's kind of what I've got to do at the moment. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed that one. I'm really looking forward to testing this battery out because I've got some really cool projects in mind for it. For instance, I want to build an electric boat. That's one of them. This also will be hooking straight up to my house. So I actually have a big 48 volt system that runs my house. So the idea is that I can plug this straight in to that and use it to power the house, as well as take it out with me and chuck it in a boat, for instance. So I drive my boat around with it. Also want to use it as like a camping battery, so if we go camping I can chuck it in the back of the car. So if you don't want to miss out on these future projects I've got in mind, future testing I do on the battery, make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks guys, catch you on the next one.